from not talking to his family to crazy outbursts on set and on live TV, here's our list of the top 10 awful lies Tom Cruise tried to get away with. Starting off, we have to talk about his current relationship with his daughter, Suri Cruise, who is now 18. It's been reported that Tom hasn't seen her in a very long time and is not a part of her life. But what really happened between them, and why is their relationship such a well-kept secret? Well, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes welcomed Suri in 2006, and from all appearances, they had a solid parent-child relationship up until 2012. After Tom and Katie's divorce, he completely distanced himself from Katie and Suri and went no contact. Now, during his 2012 deposition lawsuit against Bauer Media, he revealed that his commitment to Scientology was the biggest factor in the breakup of his family. When lawyers asked whether Katie had divorced him over his ties to the church, he said that was one of the assertions, yes. He also admitted that he didn't have any contact with Suri for 3 months right after the divorce. Surprisingly to many, Tom was not awarded custody of Suri at all and instead walked away from the discussions with visitation rights only. Even though the custody agreement struck between makes it clear that he can see his daughter for 10 days a month, it seems like he hasn't been able to make that happen. Now, on top of that, a source close to the situation has said that it seems to be a deliberate choice he is making. Now, that brings us to the truth about his divorce from Katie Holmes. Back in 2012, the former Hollywood power couple announced to the world that they were getting divorced after 6 years of marriage. While this was shocking, Tom eventually confirmed what everyone had suspected about him. The major reason for their split was Katie's aversion to raising Suri as a Scientologist. In a 2013 deposition, the actor admitted that Suri, who was just 7 years old at the time, was no longer a practicing member of the church. And when it comes to their beliefs, people who leave the religion are often cut off from other practicing members. And because of Tom's position as a high-ranking member, it would be practically impossible for him to keep his daughter in his life. In 2013, he spoke about the situation candidly with lawyers, saying, "Listen, when there is a divorce, things change. It's not an ideal scene, it's not an ideal situation." He admitted that he didn't see the divorce coming at all, saying, "I didn't expect it. Life is a tragic comedy. You need to have a sense of humor." But he actually bounced back pretty quickly, and they reached a settlement deal after only 11 days. Next up, we have his broken family with Nicole Kidman. While Tom and Nicole were married, they adopted 2 children, Isabella and Connor, and when they split, Tom did his best to convince them to cut their mother out of their lives. That's the shocking allegation that Sam Domingo made in 2019, claiming that Tom made the decision to disconnect from Nicole and have his children disconnect as well, claiming that Isabella and Connor weren't given a choice about it and were totally brainwashed. So, what are his grown-up kids doing now? Well, in 2018, Katrina Reyes claimed that Connor was living in a church-owned hotel under constant surveillance. She said they'll have him on a course and do some auditing, he can't go out and party and drink, and he'll be on vitamins and juices. As for Isabella, the underground bunker uncovered in 2019 that she starred in a promotional video encouraging members to intern as auditors at the church's London branch. She said, "I became the annoying girl in the org who would just talk endlessly about how incredible training is and how phenomenal the internship is. Thank you to my dad for everything." So clearly both of them are still close with Tom but have completely disconnected from Nicole. Now you might be wondering, how does Hollywood really feel about Tom Cruise? Well, that brings us to our next point, as he was exposed for secretly trying to convert other celebrities. Devoting your life to a faith is one thing, but trying to coerce other A-list celebs into doing the same thing sounds a lot like trouble. When Seth Rogen went on Howard Stern, he talked about spending the day with Tom Cruise and director Judd Apatow. Now Seth was telling jokes and said, "I think the pharmaceutical industry is making me look bad," to which Tom responded, "It's like with Scientology, if you let me just tell you what it is really about, just give me like 20 minutes to really tell you what it's about, you would say no effing way, no effing way." Now Seth said that this made him feel really uncomfortable, as it seemed like Tom was constantly trying to steer the conversation towards his religion at every chance he got. Luckily Judd was there at the time and said, "I feel like we're good, let's just talk about movies and stuff." Now at that point, Seth told Howard that he was extremely relieved, because if he was there alone with Tom, the situation may have panned out differently. Now all this makes you wonder about his behavior behind closed doors, which is what Leah Remini exposed in her memoir, Troublemaker. On one occasion, Leah claimed that Tom shouted at his assistants because he wanted to make cookies, but he couldn't find the pre-packaged cookie dough. In the book, she claimed that he said, "Guys, where's the cookie stuff? God damn it. Can I just get the stuff for the cookies, guys? Get in the effing present time. It's what you need to do." Now to her, Tom seemed like a child who had never been told no, and that he screamed at his assistant. Now in her book, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom's Beverly Hills mansion, where he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. He announced to all guests that he wanted to play hide and seek and pressured everyone to join in. And when Top Gun Maverick came out, Leah cautioned fans about supporting him, saying that, "Don't let the movie star charm fool you, and no, I will not watch the movie, nor will I ever support or approve this scam of a man." So she's clearly not one to forgive or forget. Now speaking of outbursts, did you know that Tom was also caught yelling at crew members? In December 2020, The Sun published leak audio of him yelling at his Mission Impossible 7 staffers after social distancing rules were broken on set. Tom reportedly flew into a rage after spotting 2 of his crew members standing within 2 meters of each other. He shouted, "And if you don't do it, you're fired. I see you do it again, you're effing gone. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their effing homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education." The outburst led 5 crew members to quit on the spot, as they just didn't feel like putting up with any more of his verbal attacks. Now fans and celebrities were divided in response to this news, but things got awkward when TMZ revealed that Tom himself was not even following the CDC guidelines. As it turns out, the valve mask that he was wearing on set was not effective because it allows potentially infected droplets to leave the mask. Next up, we have the Matt Lauer interview. Tom's arrogance was stifling when he got into a heated argument with Matt Lauer about prescription drugs and about the practice of psychiatry, which he called a pseudoscience. Tom's infamous 2005 interview on the Today Show was so bad that it changed the way that he was perceived, and he proceeded to tell Matt there is no such thing as having a chemical imbalance in the brain, and that the only way to cure depression was vitamins and exercise. Now his appearance on the show came shortly after he publicly shamed Brook Shields for her moment of vulnerability when she announced that she used antidepressants to help her with her postpartum depression. To which Tom said, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope, it didn't cure anything. There is no science, there's nothing that can cure them whatsoever." He added that Brook Shields is a very talented woman, but looking at where her career has gone. Now that last insult was so unnecessary, but it does tell you a lot about his personality. Next we have the airplane incident. During an appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman in 1999, Tom could not stop laughing as he told a story of how he restricted oxygen for a passenger when flying to Colorado. According to the actor, he and his co-pilot as well as one other passenger were using oxygen masks because they were flying at high altitudes. But Tom said he soon realized that they did not have enough oxygen to stay alert at that altitude, so he and the co-pilot decided to turn off the oxygen mask for the other passenger so that they could continue their journey, and eventually the person passed out due to the lack of oxygen. At this point in the story, Tom burst out laughing while David Letterman just looked uncomfortable. He said, "Looking at it from another direction, isn't that attempted manslaughter? You just turned a guy's oxygen off. You're lucky you're not doing time, for the love of God." But Tom insisted that everything turned out fine and the passenger was okay, but the whole thing just made him look and sound completely psychotic. Now let's talk about the infamous couch jump. The couch jump on the Oprah Winfrey Show in May 2005 is one of the most memorable moments in Tom's career. The actor was talking to Oprah about his new relationship with Katie Holmes, whom he eventually married a year later. But his excitement went a little too far as he started getting up and doing victory poses. At one point, he jumped up on the couch in the middle of the conversation right next to Oprah. His behavior was not only over the top, but extremely unprofessional, and viewers immediately started sympathizing with Oprah. Because despite being a talented host with years of TV experience, the situation was clearly out of her depth. Now eventually Tom's off-screen antics began to affect his career, as in 2006 Paramount Pictures ended its 14-year working relationship with the actor, fearing his erratic actions were going to negatively impact receipts for the upcoming Mission Impossible 3. Now Redstone was quoted by CNN saying, "Although we like him personally, we thought it was wrong to renew his deal. His recent conduct has not been acceptable to Paramount." And lastly, we have the 60 Minutes interview. It might not be as disastrous as his interview with Matt Lauer, but Tom's appearance on 60 Minutes Australia makes for a tense and uncomfortable viewing nonetheless. In June 2005, he was interviewed by journalist Peter Overton to talk about his Scientology beliefs and Hollywood stardom. Now, during the interview, he asked a series of questions about his ex-wife Nicole Kidman, and the pair divorced in 2001, have 2 children which have become estranged from Nicole after their divorce. Now, eventually, Tom felt that the questions had gone too far and chastised Peter for asking them. He said, "You're stepping over the line now. You're stepping over the line. You know you are." When Overton said that he was asking questions that the public wanted to know, Cruise replied, "Peter, you want to know. Take responsibility for what you want to know, don't say other people. This is a conversation that I'm having with you, right? I'm just telling you right now, okay? Just put your manners back in." Now, Peter apologized so the interview could continue, but years later in 2020, he said that he didn't regret asking the question.
Coming at number 10 today, we have Judd Apatow. Just a month after Jared Carmichael used the Golden Globe stage to mock Tom Cruise for his involvement in the Church of Scientology, Judd got in a few similar jabs while emceeing the Directors Guild of America Awards on February 18th. Judd's jokes began with the topic of Tom's height when he said the special effects in Maverick were so top-notch, I couldn't even see the stack of phone books Tom Cruise sat on to reach the flight controls. Things then took a quick turn when Judd called Tom Cruise a lunatic while reforming to Tom's infamous jumping on the couch segment when he sat down for an interview with Oprah. Before he dove into the juiciest part of his speech when he said, "Tom is not fine. Someone needs to explain to him that there's something called CGI. You're 60, calm down." But every time he does one of these few stunts, it does feel like an ad for Scientology. I mean, is that in the Dianetics? Because there's nothing about jumping off a cliff in the Torah. Judd still wasn't done roasting Tom as he ended his roast with suggesting that Tom wouldn't be jumping off cliffs if he just took antidepressants. Number 9, Brad Pitt. It's not really breaking news when I say Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise aren't exactly fond of each other, as they have been in a very public feud that has been going on for the last 27 years. The 2 actors who shared the screen in the 1994 film Interview with a Vampire, their differences became evident when Brad said in an interview, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming where I started to really resent him. He's North Pole, I'm South." And if you thought things couldn't get any worse, then Brad even had some harsh words to say about Tom's movies, as in 2009 when both actors starred in World War II dramas. While Brad's film did very well in the box office, Tom couldn't quite achieve the same feature. Brad didn't also shy away from celebrating his arch-rival's bitter failure by calling Tom's film a ridiculous movie. So it seems like from the looks of it that it wouldn't really be a stretch to say that the 2 actors are highly unlikely to be a part of the same project in the future, especially since Brad has this list and Tom Cruise is on his B list, which compiles of a bunch of actors he'll never work with. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's feud with Tom Cruise is actually really confusing, as it seems like the feud is somewhat one-sided. Back in 2019, Justin would take to his Twitter to challenge Tom to a physical battle after he declared that he wanted to challenge Tom Cruise to fight in the octagon. When he said, "Tom, if you don't take this fight, you're scared and you will never live it down. Who's willing to put on the fight?" And if that wasn't bizarre enough, Justin then posted a video of him kicking the cap off of a bottle, saying this could be Tom Cruise's head. While the world was trying to figure out this confusing post, we all then decided to start an investigation into what caused Justin's aggression towards Tom. But whether it was due to religion, personal reasons, or just a grab for attention, it was clear that Justin really wasn't fond of Tom Cruise. And even after he told TMZ he was just playing when it came to his initial tweet, it really makes you wonder if he really was, or does he actually want to challenge Tom in the ring. Number 7, Katie Holmes. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes once made headline after headline for being one of Hollywood's most gorgeous and talked about couples. Their relationship had it all, and at one point, they even had a dramatic public declaration of love. And they even showed the world that they just couldn't keep their hands off each other when it came to the red carpet. However, too many fans and media houses were disappointed that the duo filed for divorce just 6 years after being married. While the real reason behind behind their split is nothing but speculation. It is believed that Tom's horrible treatment of his ex-wife and even their daughter and his involvement with the Church of Scientology is what pushed Katie to get out of the marriage. This claim can even be cemented by reports that claim Tom even tried to impose bizarre rules on Katie, like how she shouldn't be allowed to date another man publicly for 5 years so it wouldn't embarrass him. Given such a hostile and messy end to a long-term relationship, it is a no-brainer that these two stars won't be appearing together on the screen, not now and perhaps not ever. Number 6, John Travolta. John Travolta and Tom Cruise seem to have a lot in common, and it's not just their field of work, as they are both strong believers when it comes to their participation in the Church of Scientology. However, this common link has become the cause of a bitter rift between the two actors, as inside sources believe that John is immensely jealous of Tom's position within the Church of Scientology, and at the fact that Tom is also one of very few members of the religion who has access to David Miscavige. When it comes access to the chief of Scientology, David. Brendan Ty, a former member of the church, once even told The New Idea that Tom was the only celebrity that had a direct link to David, and that it wasn't really a secret that Tom and John despised each other. For an industry that's well known for rivalries to stem from jealousy over snub movie roles and scandalous affairs, Tom and John's feud is definitely an interesting addition. With their strong dislike for each other making headlines, it's easy to guess that these two Scientologists would likely keep as far away from each other as possible. Number 5, Mark Wahlberg. Over the years, Mark Wahlberg has been pretty open when it comes to his dislike towards Tom Cruise. So back in 2013, Mark first let his feelings known about Tom after Tom offended Mark to a T. According to reports from that year, Tom claimed that the work he was doing in a new movie at the time was as tough as fighting in Afghanistan. Mark would then come for the controversial actor when he responded to Tom's response by saying, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the, I don't give a F what you did. You don't do what these guys did." He even went on to make things clear that he was referring to fellow actor Tom Cruise. While both stars have never worked together in the past before, it's clear to say after this public showdown, they most likely will not be working in the same room together anytime soon. Number 4, Russell Crowe. Loyalty is everything to some people, even to celebrities. Unfortunately for Tom Cruise, this means that many fellow actors despise him for the way he treated his ex-wives. When Tom filmed the 2018 reboot of The Mummy with Russell Crowe, rumors began to swirl that Russell couldn't deal with his co-star, and that he didn't want to because of what went down with Tom and Nicole Kidman. A source then revealed to the Daily Mail that Russell wasn't the biggest fan when it comes to Cruise after they told the media outlet Russell is a loyal guy and never forgave Tom for the way he treated Nicole. If they stayed friends, he would have felt like he was betraying Nicole, so he froze Tom out of his life completely. As it turns out, Nicole and Russell go way back, so it only seems like he felt obligated to maintain a sense of loyalty towards Nicole. Number 3, Nicole Kidman. So believe it or not, but Katie Holmes wasn't Tom Cruise's first marriage that ended in divorce. As before there was Katie, Tom was actually married to Nicole Kidman for 11 years. Well, that's quite a long time to be married. Nicole has said that it might not have been the best decision for her to make, as at the time she told Daily Mail, "I was so young when I got married. I look back at it and I'm like, what?" Nicole also went on to reveal that she felt pretty lonely during her marriage, and after she ended up winning an Oscar, she had this epiphany. She then went on to tell the outlet that it isn't the answer. "I was holding a gold statue and I was the lowest I've ever been." While the star doesn't hate Tom, Nicole would also note that she never saw their divorce coming. Later in an interview with Du Jour magazine, she also took the time to say, "It took me a very long time to heal. It was a shock to myself. It was a shock to my system." Since Nicole hasn't really said much about her relationship with Tom, it wouldn't really be shocking to know that she just couldn't stand him, as he truly broke her heart. Number 2, Alec Baldwin. So the thing with Tom Cruise is that even when he isn't trying, he still has a tendency to get on people's bad side. He also doesn't even have to be in the same room as someone to annoy them, to the point that they never want to be in the same room as him ever again. For instance, Alec Baldwin has made his feelings clear when it comes to Tom, and they aren't all great. At the 2009 Elle magazine annual Woman in Hollywood dinner, Alec gave a speech about equal pay in Hollywood, and he even cracked a joke about Tom's insane paychecks when he said, "I believe we can balance the scales if Tom would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be be a bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put this all on one man. But if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise. I assure you my salary would not make a difference. My annual salary is the budget of Altoids on one of Tom's movies. With Alec not really being impressed with how much money Tom is being paid, but considering that Tom also threw Alec's daughter a safety net in Scientology, it's clear that these actors will probably never work together. And coming in number 1 today, we have Brook Shields. Tom is known to never shy away from making a statement, and he certainly didn't shy away when he told Access Hollywood in 2005 that Brook Shields' use of antidepressants was irresponsible. At the time, Brook was battling with postpartum depression, and Tom, who is a well-known Scientologist, was brainwashed to think that mind-altering medications, including antidepressants, aren't only damaging to the body, but the controversial church has also made him believe that these type of medications can decrease his awareness and hinder his abilities. While he did make a quick mention to say that Brook was an incredible actress, that wouldn't save him from receiving backlash from his fans, media, and Brook herself, as Brook would respond to Tom's comments by saying Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them. The duo previously worked together on the 1981 romance drama Endless Love, but it seems like this would be their first and last film together thanks to their strong disapproval of each other.
Number 10. Scientology rants. Apart from his acting chops, Cruise is probably best known for his passionate advocacy of the Church of Scientology. In the past, Cruise has claimed that the religion was a key factor in helping him overcome his dyslexia and holds a fairly active role in the controversial church. For those who don't know, Scientology is a set of beliefs invented by a writer named L. Ron Hubbard. I spend half of my day trying to figure out what specifically those beliefs are, but hey, it turns out the information about these guys is just as cryptic as the religion itself. Tom was first introduced to Scientology by his first wife, Mimi Rogers, whose father was a prominent member of the movement and has stuck with it ever since. While nobody on this planet deserves to be hated because of their beliefs, Tom doesn't help this situation, as it's been reported on numerous occasions that he seizes any opportunity he finds to corner you and break down his religion for a long time. Famous comedian Seth Rogen wrote in his biography Yearbook about an experience that he had with Tom after being invited to his home in 2006. When the topic of Scientology was mentioned, Tom went on a tangent about how he was being perceived in the media and explained to Rogen in great detail the reasons that he should be a Scientologist. He asked Rogen to give him 20 minutes to really sink into the history of the church, but thankfully director Judd Apatow was sitting with them at the time and he was like, nah, we're good. Tom was nuts. He even blamed the pharmaceutical companies for making him look bad, saying that they had something to do with the negative press. They've got better things to do, like, I don't know, cure chicken pox and stuff. Number 9. Angry Little Man. While Tom may be an action movie star and was once a young Hollywood heartthrob, he's had a massive temper since day one. According to both former assistants as well as several co-stars from Tom's past, Cruise is a regular toddler and is known to throw tantrums being set off by the smallest things. His former manager Eileen Berlin presented Tom with a gift on his 19th birthday. She gave him an album of teen magazine articles written about him, and apparently that set him off. He told his manager that he considered himself an adult, not a teen idol, and he decided to throw the book right in her face. Another example of Tom's aggression was on display during the filming of his recent Top Gun sequel, Maverick. During this time, Tom and the rest of the film crew were tasked to shoot on an actual aircraft carrier still being used by the US military. One of the crewmates of that ship posted on Twitter calling out the audacity of Tom's behavior. He tweeted that Tom Cruise was really on our ship telling people not to talk or look at him. After a few choice words, the crewmate made it very clear that Tom was not welcome aboard their vessel. These are just two examples though. Tom has blown up on film crews several times in the past, to the point where his Mission Impossible 2 co-star was constantly scared of Tom on set and what he may freak out about next. Number 8, he's chaotic. Now, it's one thing to be asking people to join your church all the time, whatever, no biggie. But Tom's behavior as a member of society has been rough to say the least. Following the announcement that he was engaged to Katie Holmes in the early 2000s, Tom appeared on an episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show that has gone down as one of the most chaotic TV interviews of all time. From the moment he walks on stage, he has such a strange energy. He's oddly excited, like he just got told the best news in his entire life. He throws his arms up in the air, he rubs Oprah's shoulders like she's a lamp and he's trying to summon a genie. He revealed to the audience that the excitement was from his engagement to fellow actor Katie Holmes. Awesome, man, but can you stop trying to break Oprah, please? Seriously, Tom jumped on her couch, he grabbed her hands over and over again. She couldn't even get to the questions that she had for him because he was just so chaotic. Eventually, Oprah was like, whatever, just bring her out. And the cameras followed Tom as he ran around the studio trying to find her. It looked like a scene from Paranormal Activity. Tom's energy continued to stay at that level of chaos throughout his entire marriage to Katie. Since the divorce though, he's just nuts. Number 7, political moves. Due to his beliefs in Scientology, Crowe intensified his dedication to share his beliefs by becoming an international lobbyist with the goal of helping his church be recognized as an official religion. Tom tried to share his message in multiple countries and was denied by all of them. According to the Irish Examiner, leaders in Paris came to an agreement in 2005 not to make Crowe an honorary citizen because of his affiliation with the church. If that's not bad enough, Crowe brought his issues to the German government. A chief spokesperson for the Protestant church shared that they were against Crowe and his beliefs, comparing him to Joseph Goebbels, a German propagandist. Making a move from TV to politics has historically been a bad one, with the only successful stories really being Arnold Schwarzenegger and Donald Trump, and one of those guys went back to the movies and the other one's in jail now, so I don't know, just you be the judge. Number 6, multiple messy divorces. Tom's love life has been a part of the media circus for a large portion of his career. His first marriage to actress Mimi Rogers only lasted 3 years before they split and Tom moved on to Nicole Kidman. Kidman and Crowe got married in 1990 and they were actually together for quite some time. They were together for 11 years before ultimately calling it quits in 2001. But of course his most memorable and public relationship was with his now ex Katie Holmes. As previously mentioned on this list, the two were engaged in 2005 and at the time Tom was stoked. They tied the knot and stayed together for only 7 years. With the ending of each marriage comes a litany of negative press. Tom got divorced 3 times, which means that 3 times Tom has had to publicly air his dirty laundry for us all to see, and as many of us know, dirty laundry belongs in a pile on your floor. Hide it away. Number 5. Control freak. Tom is no stranger to an on-set freakout or two, but he's also made a name for himself as a bit of a control freak. Both on set and in his personal relationships, Tom feels a need to be in charge of every little thing at any given time. An insider told Radar Online that Tom was not good at keeping a relationship, as many women found him to be very intense. To him, any partner is an extension of himself and his brand. So he's not only intense, but he's also a micromanager as well. So much so that at times, Crowe has even been known to control what his partners are allowed to wear when they're in public together. This made many love interests feel like members of his staff, and rightfully so. Tom has also been a control freak on set, with the most recent example being an incident that occurred on his last Mission Impossible movie. An audio clip was released of Crowe berating several crew members with intense anger. The crew in question were accused of not following safety protocols that were in place at that time. In his rant, Tom is heard swearing and screaming about the rules, and how if he wants something to happen, it will happen. The crew are essentially his minions, who must do their master's bidding. The rant went viral, but Crowe defended the rant rather than apologizing for his words, claiming that he said what he said and the stakes were high at the time, so I don't know, deal with it. While this may have been happening at a time when Hollywood was shut down and many productions were on hold, that's no excuse to harass the people trying to make you look good. Number 4, mansplainer. Now, telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to ensure you won't be popular among a female demographic, but telling them how to give birth? Now that's a whole other level of messed up. While many people in power have been trying to tell women what to do with their bodies forever, Crowe was forced to address rumors that he made his third wife Katie give birth in secret and in complete silence, a practice Scientologists believe prevents any permanent psychic scars caused by negative vibes at birth. Crowe confirmed that this was true, but made the argument that the process was not as strict as many people believed it to be. He even had a special pacifier made specifically for Katie to keep her as quiet as possible during the birth. This wasn't the only time Crowe chimed in on his beliefs, as in 2005 he openly criticized Endless Love co-star Brook Shields for taking medication to help her cope with postpartum depression. Well, Shields responded by telling Tom that he should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum decide what treatment options are best for them. Eat it, Tom! Number 3, converter. Devoting one's life to a faith created by a science fiction writer is all well and good, but trying to talk your fellow celebs into doing the same thing, that's annoying. I'm sure someone out there is still trying to get signatures for their Church of Lovecraft petition, but we don't have to get into that. Former high-ranking Scientologist Gary Moorhead, great last name by the way, told the Daily Mail that Cruise had an unhealthy obsession with soccer superstar David Beckham and viewed him as the ideal candidate for conversion. Sadly for Tom, that never actually happened, but it wasn't for lack of trying though. According to Gary, in an attempt to lure Beckham into Scientology headquarters, Cruise ordered Sea Org, which is the short form for Scientology organization members, to create a full-size soccer stadium. That's right, he built a stadium like the old nerdy guy in Benchwarmers. Hey, guess what? Beckham didn't show up. After he said he'd come check the place out, himself and his wife decided to ditch the event and chose to ghost protocol his butt. Number 2, bad dad. Cruise has 3 children, Isabella and Connor, who were adopted during his marriage to Nicole Kidman, and Suri, who he fathered with Katie Holmes before they split up. The first sign of Cruise being a bad dad came in 2015 when he missed his eldest daughter's wedding, despite her being heavily involved in the church, going so far as to have a Scientology-themed wedding. While Bella does keep in contact with her father, the same cannot be said for Tom's other kids. According to a June 2016 report from In Touch, Cruise hasn't had contact with Suri in years. According to insiders, this is simply due to his wanting to distance himself from his ex Katie, and unfortunately by association, his daughter. Tom's heavy involvement in the Scientology community has caused him to neglect anyone who is either against or disagrees with his ideas. While being dedicated to one's faith is nothing to make fun of, this man deserves a bad dad mug as soon as possible. And number 1, people love to hate the guy. Let's face it, when a celebrity messes up or does something crazy, everyone jumps on the media bandwagon. We as a society famously love to watch the elites crumble, as it's a fun time for all of us normies. Unfortunately for Tom, that bandwagon will never be empty, and Tom himself continues to give us cause for concern. It's 2023, and this man is still regularly freaking out on set, controlling the women in his relationship, and being a chaotic bad everywhere he goes. Despite his questionable beliefs and erratic outbursts, Cruise still remains in high demand. To this day, he is still one of Hollywood's leading men despite the public reputation and gossip that has followed him through his entire career. It only makes sense that a man who can get away with so much is seen as a pariah by his fellow celebrities and fans. He continues to regularly release blockbusters, and while some have failed to recoup their huge budgets, for instance, Tom is single-handedly responsible for ruining the Warner Brothers Monsterverse. Not only did he mess with the script for the production of The Mummy, he also changed shooting locations, themes, and entire characters, simply because he was the producer and he could do it. Hey man, next time just give Tom some crayons and a pad and let him loose, alright? Put him in the corner, just ignore him.